I'm super excited to be here. Big thanks to Simon for inviting us over. It's been a great trip so far. So what I'd love to do is introduce you guys, obviously, to the new Twitter. Have you guys heard about the new Twitter? Yeah, some of you. So you'll check that out. Second, we'll talk a bit more about the ad philosophy behind our ad products. And lastly, we'll jump into what we've got for you guys in our promoted suite of products. And then afterwards, we'll open it up to questions, and I'm sure I'll get tons specific to the UK that I probably won't be able to answer, but we'll go down that route in a moment. So the new Twitter, let's start by giving you guys a bit of context about why we did this. So currently, there's 210 million unique visitors to Twitter every single month. That's up 100% year-over-year growth. That's also 160 million registered users, and that's grown 50% in the last 6 months. So specific to the UK, we've seen 100% year-over-year growth with registered users as well. It's a global phenomenon. 65% of all traffic on Twitter is international, and 35% specific to the US. So obviously, our goal here is it's global, but how can we widen the appeal even more? And we found with that is 78% of all traffic still goes to twitter.com, which is a huge percentage. So we wanted to figure out how do we widen this appeal, how do we engage users even more, and thus the fantastic new Twitter. I'm obsessed with it. You guys will soon be receiving it, and engagement's extremely high. So a couple things that are new with it. The first is you'll notice this embedded media. Previously to Twitter, you click on a link, you would have to go off-site. So currently, we've partnered with 16 different partners. That list will be growing over time. And what you'll find is we'll actually have embedded media in the site. So currently, some of the partners are YFrog, YouTube, Ustream, TwitPic. So now you click on a link with any of those specific photos, and you'll actually see it on the right-hand side, providing a much easier, richer integration of all media. The second piece, which I think is really interesting as well, is we're providing much greater context for all of the tweets. So you'll see a tweet on the right side, let's say if it has a hashtag in it or a link. You'll see other tweets that contain that exact hashtag or link as well. You'll also receive more account information about that specific account. So what it does is it really engages those new users, helps them find new followers, but it also gets those existing users very excited about Twitter as well. So currently, we're at the dramatic 1% rollout. That's international. We'll be scaling that out slowly. The goal here is to make sure it works great. So far, the response has been phenomenal. So moving into our ad product, I think it's important that we position how we think about Twitter first. And it's very different. We very much think about Twitter as an information network. Sure, it absolutely fits within the social media space. And absolutely, I'm sure tons of you guys follow your friends and family. But more important than anything is people are following brands, institutions, organizations, and they have been part of Twitter from the start. Twitter is very much the best place to discover what's new in your world. It's direct, it's public, and it's authentic communication, and brands have been part of that from the start. So when thinking about this ad platform, we wanted to figure out, okay, what you guys are already doing works. Why should we redo everything and create something new when you're already using Twitter to launch new products, track your mentions, see how your brand's performing? So what we've done is we simply focused on how to enhance the communication that's already taking place on Twitter and take that to a whole new level. So in thinking about that, we wanted to go through, okay, what makes Twitter so unique, and how can we amplify that for each of you guys? So relevance. What's amazing about Twitter is that you're able to see in real time who people are following, what they're reading, what they're tweeting about, and now with geolocation as well, at some points, where they're even tweeting from. So at any given time, you have a specific map of a user's interests. It's very much an interest graph. And this is exceptionally critical for all of you guys because it means that we can make sure that your ads are being delivered to the most relevant consumers. And this is important because this is an era of ad blindness where users and people have gotten very talented at turning a blind eye to an ad that they don't want to see. And that's combined with the same time where each of you guys are also really focused on creating content that's engaging with the users. So when you're going to see our Twitter ad platform, it's very much the merging of ads and contents. And that's what makes it unique, and that's what makes it so effective because we're only showing ads to the most relevant consumer. Second piece is real time. Twitter owns this in the sense that There's no greater place where there's a higher velocity of conversation in real time right now. We just broke through 100 million tweets per day. That's more than 1,000 per minute. And specifically thinking about the new Twitter as well, 25% of all of those tweets actually contain a link. So it's a high volume of conversation, and all of that is taking place at this exact moment. Not yesterday, not the day before, it's this exact moment. So not only do we have this whole relevance component of knowing what people are interested in based off of their followership and what they're reading about, what they're tweeting about, but it's in this exact moment, and that makes it pretty awesome. So this is a great example of that. I'm sure some of you might have watched the Video Music Awards by MTV. And this basically is a chart that tracks the mentions of the VMAs on Twitter during the show's time frame. So there's a couple things that I think are pretty neat about this. First off is that it peaks at 250 tweets per second. That's crazy. So I mean, ultimately what people are doing nowadays are sitting there on their couches, they're watching TV, and they're tweeting every single second about it. So the velocity is huge, 250 tweets per second. Second piece too is it's all in real time. You'll notice here that the pre-show starts at 8 p.m. Within minutes you see this massive spike in conversation. Same thing happens when the show launches at 9 and it just shoots up. So it's in real time, the velocity is huge as well. And the third piece of everything beyond relevance and real time is what we call resonance. This is our built-in ad quality system. Since people are using Twitter to find relevant information, we have to make sure that it's fresh and that it's engaging with them. At the core of all of our products, our users come number one. If we don't have users, we've got nothing. So the number one policy is let's make them happy, and this very much does that. So what resonance looks at is a combination of 21 different factors. Everything you can imagine from retweets, favorites, @replies, clicks. It also looks at the length of time in which you've written your ads or your tweets and the time that you want to promote them, and realizes that freshness is key. So the threshold for your ads to show up increases over time as that length of time passes. So the whole reason being is we're making sure that no matter what, when we show your ads, they're going out to the most relevant people in real time and that they're engaging with them. Ultimately, if they're not engaging with them, we're not going to show your ads, which is good for both the consumer and for all of you guys, because then you're not paying for it if it doesn't work. So what are we selling? What are our ad products? Promoted tweets. Have you guys heard of promoted tweets? Some people? Yeah? So promoted tweets. The goal of the promoted tweets is to get your message out to outside of your core followership. Currently, each of you guys can absolutely tweet out to people that follow your brand and your company. We want to figure out how do we get that message out to people outside of that aren't naturally following you. So currently what promoted tweets do is they show up in search on twitter.com. We released this about 6 months ago. We've been working with about 30 core advertisers, obviously in limited release, and we're now very much ready in Q4 to open that up to the wider public. Obviously, the whole goal of Twitter is we are going to take it slow and make sure that we do it right. We've gotten phenomenal best practices, and now we're very much ready with the growth of our sales team to make that happen. So there's a couple exciting things with promoted tweets that are happening in Q4. So like I said, currently promoted tweets are only showing up in search. Q4, we're going to be syndicating them out to our search partners, like Bing, Yahoo, and Google. We'll also be syndicating them out to our API partners, so Echophone, Hootsuite, and Seismic, and TweetDeck. So that's going to get us a ton more inventory. And the third and final piece, which I think is really interesting, is very slowly and cautiously we'll also be rolling out promoted tweets into user timelines based off of their interest graph. Maybe it'll start with exact hashtag matching, but it'll eventually get much more sophisticated. You'll also see that there's a general theme here that we are very much in the early days. We have a ton to learn, and all of this is at its most basic levels, and it's only going to get more and more sophisticated from here. So far, we're seeing great results. We're seeing on average a 5% engagement rate of promoted tweets. So engagement, I'm sure you guys are interested. We measure all of our tweets by engagement. Engagement is a combination of clicks, retweets, replies, and favorites. So 5% engagement on average. We've seen brands like Coke, Starbucks do phenomenally well here as well. And in terms of how we're pricing this, there's two options, CPM or CPE as well. As we open this up to a wider audience and bring in more advertisers, we're going to move more towards an auction-based system, an auction-based model. Promoted trends. This has worked phenomenally well. This is your tool to get mass reach, mass exposure in a short period of time. So you might have noticed on the right side of Twitter, there's something called the top 10 trending topics. That's what's hot now, what's most talked about now, versus what was happening yesterday. The new Twitter, you'll notice too, this is very much above the fold, which is fantastic for all of you guys. So there's the 10 trending topics, and then there's one spot for an ad placement on that page as well as the 11th trending topic. Massive reach on the homepage, you're the only ad on there. Typically, we're seeing anywhere from 80 to 120 million impressions every single day. So you've got your ad there. What happens is once someone then clicks on that link, it goes to a search for that specific term, and pegged right at the top of the list is another one of your promoted tweets. This is phenomenal for new product releases, product launches, anything that's newsworthy and buzzworthy and is exciting for people. Movie studios have seen phenomenal results. Disney did a series of 6 trends with us and saw upwards of 13% engagement on the corresponding promoted tweet. The NBA did one as well and sponsored a trend for LeBron James and saw that too. But the second key piece beyond the engagement that's really exciting is that what we're finding is that promoted trends is a great way to increase the conversation about your brand that's already taking place on Twitter. So we're able to actually track the number of mentions of your brand several days prior to the trend, the 24 hours of the trend, and then afterwards as well. And we're seeing on average 4 to 6x increase in the number of mentions in conversation about your brand, which is just huge. In addition as well, we're also seeing a mass increase in the number of followers. So this is a great way to both combine that earned media perspective and that paid media. Because after you run a trend, you get those additional followers, you can reach out to them and engage with them and have that conversation as frequently as you'd like. So one specific, have you guys, the big Old Spice campaign, Isaiah Mustafa and his bathrobe. He did all these different YouTube videos and actually created I think it was around 60 different videos in response to influential tweeters. So he created this video. It was an amazing ad campaign. You can see here some of the buzz that was taking place because it was on YouTube. It was also on Facebook. And then they bought a promoted trend, and you can really see the insane spike in traffic and the number of mentions about the Old Spice. If you haven't seen this yet, you should definitely take a look for it. They're quite entertaining, and there's lots of articles online about it. So you can see here that promoted trends is both a great way to do new product releases, but also it's a great way to even make Old Spice exciting again. Very much marketing is news. You can make anything exciting with an interesting campaign in Twitter. So lastly, our dashboard. We're actually really proud of this. I started a grand total of about 10 weeks ago. That's how new we all are. This is what it looked like 10 weeks ago, and I'll show you the brand new dashboard that we just released. What's unique is you can track everything in real time. It's only a 2-minute lag time on Twitter. So here you're able to see overall your number of impressions, your number of clicks, retweets, replies, which is good and exciting. But what we found is through advertiser feedback, people wanted to see by tweet copy how they are performing. And this is important because then you're going to be able to take a lot of those learnings, which tweets are working, which ones aren't, and figure out what type of conversation, which type of messages work best for your existing consumers, your existing customers, and all your future potential customers. So this is a second and new dashboard. It's a little bit small. I'm completely addicted to this and track it every day because not only does it show you your clicks, retweets, and replies for each of your individual tweets, but it also shows you the number of followers, additional followers you get every day. It also shows you the number of unfollows you get every day. So there was a specific influential author in the industry in San Francisco. He had tons of followers, was always tweeting industry-specific news, and then he wrote a series of 4 tweets that pushed his own book. And was like, buy my book, and all of a sudden his unfollowers spiked massively, and you could all track it through this dashboard. So you can see there you've got your basics. It'll also show you your reach as well. So one thing that's interesting with Twitter too is the value of the retweet. Sure, you're paying for a promoted tweet, but what happens is if you guys write engaging tweets, someone retweets it. And if that person has 50 followers, all of a sudden 50 additional people are seeing your tweet, and then it's retweeted and tweeted again. So it's that ripple effect that makes it so valuable because you don't pay for any of that. That's all of your earned media. And here you can start to evaluate what is my reach on my tweets, how are people engaging, and how are they not. And that is it.